I was muted. Scuff. Hello, everyone. I'm gonna be doing a lore dive, just a short one, like about an hour and a half, into FanFest's trailer yesterday. You want to introduce yourselves? You can go ahead.
You want to go first, Ellie?
I can. Well, hello guys. My name is Ellie. I am a lore diver from Germany, and have been doing it for about like 2.5 years now, with Meowth at least.
And well, as for me, I am either Agnus there or Shadow Meowth. I'm mostly known as Shadow Meowth. I'm from Spain, so apologies for my weird ass accent. and I've been a lore diver for a long time. I started with Final Fantasy XIII, and I spent like over a decade of lore diving. It sounds a bit like a flex, but I am actually a big name in the 13 lore diving sphere. And then I began doing the same for Final Fantasy XIV, and I've been doing that like in seriousness ever since Shadowbringers. So it's been in the last 2 years that I've done an exhaustive research after DAWNTRAIL, because many things that we believe that Endwalker sealed in stone are actually not so sealed in stone.
Oh, yeah.
We will eventually go about that. Maybe it's at some other time. I don't know if we will have time right now, but there's a lot to discuss. So yeah.
Yeah. And to those of you who are new, I'm Lavii. I'm a vampire hikikomori idol from Bon Lavien, and yeah. I have been very, very interested in like lore diving into Final Fantasy XIV and like the related content, like Warframe. Like now that is my thing. Everything's just so connected. But anyways, I've been doing that since 2020. When I found Final Fantasy XIV, it was mid-COVID. I had gotten my first ever PC. And the day that I got my PC, my fiance and I, our IRL friend, came over and he was like, "So you're gonna download Final Fantasy now, right?" Anyways.
You have to.
Yeah, I had to. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. So yesterday was FanFest. We had a trailer drop. As is normal with EN FanFest, the trailer was very distorted because they have to cover up things like who's speaking in the trailer. That's a big thing because in the, like, for instance, in the Endwalker trailer, Emmett Selk was actually the one like narrating it. Or no, sorry, not. Was it?
Yeah.
It was Endwalker. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I was second guessing myself. And that was a big like tease that he was gonna come back. But anyways, yeah, so that came out yesterday.
I mean, not wrong, but
yeah,
he likes to play. He plays hard to get.
He does play hard to get. So I want to start out with like the topic of Norse mythology because that is really heavy in the trailer. I originally kind of thought this was going to be a Scottish-Irish culture themed expansion because of the tapestry and embroidery integrated into the trailer. I thought it was very Brave coded, like the movie Brave. If you look at the trailer, you can really see that now that I've said it. But now upon seeing the whole thing, the architecture, there's a lot of like Celtic knots and things. I'm thinking they blended my initial thinking with Nordic regions. The three work really well together, so I'm not shocked they went down this path. it's not uncommon for Final Fantasy to blend multiple real life cultures into an expansion, like they did with DAWNTRAIL. That was South American culture, and then they veered north into indigenous culture and the culture of the desert regions out west, that kind of thing. Um, what do you guys think we're going to see, like lore wise, with in regards to like Norse mythology, that kind of thing?
They did show the Fenrir and swords, like the Fenrir type of model, which had the swords as his thing. So that some more Odin, so anything. I don't
Yeah.
want to say Thor related, but if you were to think of Thor like Ragnarok, Hela, or how her name was, like anything that we have the Bifrost, which is the gate or like the way of travel, and there's just I'm not too familiar with Norse mythology, but
we
there
also
are a
had
lot
those.
of
We also had those like boats.
yeah. Those actually reminded me of China.
Really? Oh, well.
Yes.
I guess they could. They looked more to me like the Viking boats.
Yeah, Viking boats.
Yeah.
Bit of China because of the snakes and everything. I actually thought of Laura Hancock in One Piece because she's like the snake thing, but she's also more inspired by what's her name, the Gorgon.
But the snakes. That's actually also a big Nordic thing. That is that's like Ouroboros. Yeah.
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 Fun fact, we see a word snake reference in P12 as P2. Pallas Athena. So Pandemonium raid, the last raid.
Pandemonium Savage, the last one.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
We see a big word snake or like something snaking around in the background.
Yeah.
And fun fact, something similar is in the new Fork Tower magic visible. Not as a snake, but the way the same movements are seen.
Yeah.
However, P12S has many secrets. To be honest, that's a really lengthy topic, but the concept of the world snake, like so many things in Final Fantasy XIV, are divided in a dynamic of true versus false. So you have the positive and the negative. In terms of Pulse Athena, this snake that you see around the arena, I believe you have to understand as the negative interpretation of something snake-like, not necessarily the world serpent, because the world serpent has the positive connotation of the Scree, the great serpent of Ronka. So, in fact, in DAWNTRAIL we have the optional dungeon in which we fight the Scree, and then in the quest afterwards, you go to talk to the Yokhui chronicler, and he shows us a mural in which a serpent is coiled around the world, and he tells us that in their beliefs, serpents are the guardians of the boundaries between worlds, and he speculates that perhaps the Scree is a manifestation of a guardian, he calls it a guardian of whispers, which is quite interesting. And and he implies that the Scree may have chosen us, which is very important, because if we are chosen by a world serpent figure, the serpent being associated with the zodiac sign of Ophiuchus, it means that we're maybe dealing with the real zodiac as the wheel of the star.
Oh wow!
And
the actual zodiac, not the primal.
Yeah, because primals are named after myths. Hydra is the only exception because her name comes from a time paradox.
I see.
So maybe the ancients named their savior, the manifestation of their collective hope, in prayers that they don't believe in gods, but they worship the star, Theris.
Yeah.
So maybe they called upon their star as protector, and humankind as lifeblood, as they believe themselves, to manifest the will of the star in that entity. But perhaps there is already a pre-existent myth in which Zodiac is the real will of the star. Because let's not forget, Hydaelyn is a usurper.
I mean, I did tell you about my finding there with a song. I had a smaller freak out when I actually realized that. It's basically. You want me to elaborate?
No, you're good. I was gonna move on to the next thing. You're good.
Okay. We can pin that for another time.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I know we only have like an hour and a half, and I don't want to cut you guys off.
We have a lot to talk about.
We have a lot to talk about. So the concept that dragons in this shard could look like worms, as depicted in the sculptures, worms being like WYRM. That's super interesting to me. I wonder if there's shards of the dragon souls on Aetheris, like Hraesvelgr and all them, or if we'll meet completely new dragons.
The dragons came to Aetheris after the Sundering, like Midgardsormr with Hamlet and everyone else.
Yes.
I was not aware of that. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, no, that makes everything different.
The story goes that Midgardsormr arrives to Sandu Aetheris, and in order to be allowed to seek refuge in Aetheris, he is forced into a pact with Hydaelyn, in which he becomes her servant, so marked by her. And it turns him into an spectral entity in exchange for letting his children remain in Aetheris, which is also a reason why the dragons are compelled to I quote unquote worship Hydaelyn, because they are bound by this oath that Midgardsormr had to enter to ensure their survival. So
yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't send a ping for going live in Discord. I already talked about it like all morning. We're good. We're good, Yujin. Thank you for checking in. But yeah, I think it's gonna be really interesting if we get to see like different shapes of dragons, like different kinds. That'd be really cool.
I mean, you see sort of dragons, more wyverns than dragons in the first, for example. Like in some areas, you have those wyvern dragons, like in Ilmeg, and I think there's some in Lakeland. So I don't think the concept of a dragon is necessarily alien. Maybe the ancients came up with some dragon-like creatures, but dragons, as proper we understand dragons, they're aliens basically. Yeah. So they're only found in the source.
There was that one planet at the end of Endwalker that has all the dragons on it. So
the Dragon Star.
The Dragon Star, that's their origin.
Yeah. I completely forgot about that. This is what happens when I have all this. This is what happens when I have all of this like fangirl energy and like knowledge of the like the concept, like the everything, but I have memory issues now, so some things they slip through the cracks. Do you want to move on to the next topic? We're gonna start talking about the aura guy.
Yeah.
Is the hot glowy aura man with one eye in the snow Odin? Do you think he is?
I mean, when you have the one-eyed guy, it's clearly a reference to Odin by just symbology. But there may be, as usual, because the devs actually love doing that, nuances to it. Like, for example, this is a bit lengthy to explain, but in Final Fantasy XI, I'm not that much of an expert of 11, so what I know is more or less what I read other people saying about Final Fantasy XI. But I do know that in Final Fantasy XI, Alexander and Odin are respectively the deities of light and dark. And the story goes that if they were to collide, this encounter would cause Ragnarok and the end of Vana'diel as we know it, and from that a new Vana'diel would emerge. So in DAWNTRAIL we had Alexandria, which is clearly related to Alexander, and in a sense, the concept of Alexander you can tie with Ai's Fiend. The queen that was trying to protect her people, even though it was all fantasy and illusion that we had to tear down because it was actually detrimental to the star. Living memory is basically putting us in the shoes of Hades. That's the purpose of living memory. And then if we go from Alexandria into Odin, then we have the two halves sort of coming together for 9.0 that would lead to Ragnarok. So basically the apocalypse. So I do think that we have our Odin guy, but we're going to see more nuances about the usual iterations they do with this character could be Odin more like clearly, but then another character more thematically resembles the concept. They do tend to play around with many concepts.
I don't think there's going to be a direct correlation. I really don't. I think that if there is a direct correlation, they could have really done some kind of deeper thinking.
Yeah. The fact that they show this at surface level, like phrase value, a trailer, means that they want us to think of Odin, but they're going to likely surprise us with unexpected twists and turns. Because it would be absurd to reveal everything on a teaser trailer.
You did bring up an interesting point. Correct me if I misunderstood, but there was a Final Fantasy where Vana'diel was going to perish, and it would have been reborn from that. I wonder, because we're gonna get more into this later, but there's a heavy topic of death with this expansion. I'm guaranteeing you, because it's the Reaper expansion. I think that we're going to be ferrying people towards either a better existence or helping them move on or something like that.
Oh, already in DAWNTRAIL. DAWNTRAIL is full. DAWNTRAIL is basically showcasing, okay, how do I put this? Everything is about forgetting the dead in DAWNTRAIL with Alexandria. And Tuliyola is basically all about remembering.
Yes.
More or less.
Because
so everything.
Because if you forget the dead, then they cease to exist, basically. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I believe as well. And basically everything in DAWNTRAIL is circled around the topic of death. So anything goes into, death is basically Hades. So you could technically say, we killed Hades in Shadowbringers. We had him shortly, for a short while back in Endwalker. But he's not gone.
He's not gone. I refuse to believe that, and that's not just copium.
No, I mean as in the influence of Hades, the theme of Hades, of death and everything, that is still ongoing.
I see what you're saying.
I don't know I don't know if we will get him back for whatever reason, but the theme of the absence of death yet is all about death.
Yeah.
And Meowth brought I think me as well, we brought up Ragnarok as an event in Norse mythology, which is like the end of everything, basically, if I remember correctly. And you did send me yesterday when we were talking about the trailer and everything about the
Right.
3 winters, right?
Yes.
Where we have the people just fighting each other, which what's it called?
The Fimbulvinter. So in Norse mythology, before the Ragnarok, it comes 3 endless winters before the events of the apocalypse. The Fimbulvinter is described as a period of social and moral decay in which brothers slay each other for greed. Oath breaking is rampant.
Gotcha.
No family doesn't spare anyone, not even father, not even child. So it's quite interesting to see that in an expansion theme about winter, because it's the whole theme, not just about the cold of an ice age, but also the cooling of emotions. Like if you go down the moral and emotional decay that much, then you don't hold any love. And love is a crucial theme in Final Fantasy XIV for reasons that would be a bit too long to explain. But love is a core theme of the game. It's all theme about that because the game is themed after alchemy, and alchemy is about uniting. So it's love in a it's in a very strong and not just romantic meaning of the word. So, and precisely, and because we've been bringing up death and Hades, the seed of Emetzelk is symbolized, represented by the zodiac sign of Gemini, and Gemini is one of the symbols of love, because there is no Gemini without 2. So you tie that with death. It's quite evident that Hades' character is modeled after love. It's the entire core of his character.
I can confirm.
You take, but you, and but bear in mind that love is not it's not as corny as some media will try to make you think. Love is the strongest power of humanity. It sounds like the most mundane of power of humanity, but actually at the core is the most miraculous at the same time, and it can make us make miracles, and at the same time can actually make us do questionable things. So it's a really raw power that humans have, and that's a big theme in coming up, because Final Fantasy 13, it's all about that. I mean, it's a bit long to explain, but the important thing is that death, in the school of thoughts that Final Fantasy XIV drinks from, is the source of love. Why? Because without death, we wouldn't be thinking that we have limited time to spend with our loved ones. If there was no death, if we weren't running off a timer, we would take everything for granted. We wouldn't appreciate what we have. So death is the force that is the source of love. That I mean, even in biology, animals, and therefore us as well, they instinctively generate the hormones and the biochemicals that create affection in order to protect each other from untimely death. You unite and you create relationships with others to be more protected, and you don't meet your end before your time. So so it's all about this sort of concept. Like, and for example, and one example I like to use is Calyx, because Calyx, I don't say Calyx is emotionless, but he's very, like, you see his character,
he's very calculating.
He's very muted, and in fact, Calyx is not a soul. Calyx is an endless, so he's basically data. So when we actually remember the first time we met Calyx, Ellie and I, when we were playing together 5.2, we were already thinking of the theme of losing emotions and losing the capability of love as a big theme coming up, because of if you seek eternity, you're going to end up emotionally muted. And
right.
yeah,
You lose
right?
something along the way because, yeah.
I mean, it happened to the Omicrons, for example.
Yeah, it did.
So.
And the third area of the dungeon.
Right. Ah, yeah. Oh, yeah. The Nibiron, the dungeon.
Yeah.
Don't let me rant too
ones.
much about the Nibiron, because people understand that it was going to happen to the ancients. It's not actually correct. So yeah, no, that's a discussion for another time. But now that you mentioned the Nibiron, get in on that for dismantling Endwalker's lies.
So we're gonna move on to our next topic. These are more going to be me talking, I think. Unless you guys are also into Lord of the Rings, I don't know.
I have to read it.
Okay.
Same.
So these are my assumptions based on the knowledge of Lord of the Rings that I have, which is a lot. So when I looked at the concept art of like the places we're going to be going, it's just direct reference. It's direct reference. It's not even subtle. I'm getting a lot of vibes of Lord of the Rings from the world areas. Not only the Shire, but also Rivendell and also Mordor in the little fire area.
Right.
My theory is that they took heavy influence, and we will probably go on a similar journey, from the Shire to Rivendell and then to Mordor at the end. I feel like that's honestly, that would be very obvious. I hope, I really do. One of the things that I feel like I'm missing is a connection to the Scions. I don't feel like I consider them like coworkers. I don't feel like we're friends. You know what I mean? I don't have that connection to them. What I want to get, what I want to have,
would actually be right.
yeah. What I want to have is like a brotherhood journey, kind of like Lord of the Rings. And if we're getting all this theming, I wonder if we're going to end up having something like that. That'd be great. I hope so. We kind of just have been doing our own thing, and then in DAWNTRAIL we were just helping out other people, like, and I feel like it's past due. I've felt for a while that ever since Shadowbringers, I feel like we haven't really connected to the Scions as much as we used to. And even then, it was like base level.
There's a reason for that, actually, narratively speaking, because I actually feel it a lot. But if you want to comment on that, Ellie, first, because I tend to ramble.
Yeah, we noticed already. Meowth suspects, like it's hard to try and begin even to dismantle everything, because a lot is just connected that we have to elaborate before anything making sense.
Yeah.
We basically, well, the statement I'm gonna make is the Scions will break into two parties. There will be a schism, basically, like Meowth is likes to say, which includes us, Estinian, Kryle, Alphinaud, and Alizé as one group, and the rest of the Scions is the other group.
Right.
Which is basically explained as the Sharlayan scholars and the non-Sharlayan scholars, because I really do think the connection to Sharlayan is very important there. I mean, basically what I'm saying or what I'm thinking is that Sharlayan is the root of the problem right now. Well, basically, it's Ultima, but Charlene is doing her bidding.
Yeah.
We have visual proof and connections to this, but we have to summarize a bit.
Yeah,
That's okay.
we have to summarize. So basically, the fuck. I think I lost my plot right now.
You're good.
The division of the science.
Yeah,
And
it's
Charlene.
So basically, the people that are coming with us are the non-Charlian scholars.
Right.
And we already saw Estinian and Alphino in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So we are just missing Alize and Cryo.
Okay. That's another thing. Like, I'm not partial to Grahatia. I don't like him as much as, some people do. But
You mentioned the name that shall not be named.
Sorry. But like, oh man, he wants to go on an adventure so bad, and I thought he was gonna get it. I really did in DAWNTRAIL, and then he didn't, and I was like, man, I feel like you just got cucked. That's sad.
We're not gonna ramble about the Catman now. We're not gonna ramble about
Okay, we're not gonna ramble about him. It's fine.
That's
allow her to ramble, and yeah.
That's a topic for that could take its own episode
That's
of
fine.
me ranting and tearing him down.
But yeah, I hope that. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
With you talking about Lord of the Rings, I saw on social media that some people were comparing it to Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Which we know Yoshi P is a fan of, because the Red Mage quest has an NPC called Arya.
Yeah, it's been confirmed that a lot of the dev team likes Game of Thrones.
I mean, they made Final Fantasy 16, so
yeah, that's true.
Yes, so there may be like people were saying, like that hot aura man dude, a White Walker because of the glowing eyes and Winter and everything. So I could see some sort of inspiration there, merging White Walker lore and Lord of Game of Thrones, not God of War. God of War is something else.
Yeah.
With 14 stuff there and Norse mythology.
What is important as well is that, if you may allow me, about Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire, themes, Song of Ice and Fire. It's actually very important. Ice, fire. Let's just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Yes.
But it's also important to know a bit. It's not just they like the reference. They weave meaning in everything they add into the game. And even though the show's ending was a complete disaster, let's not just talk about that. But spoilers, if anyone intends to watch Game of Thrones and all that, I need to talk a bit about the Night King, the White Walkers, and the connection to the themes we already treated. I will try to be brief. The Night King's goal and the Long Night is like an endless winter, similar to the Fimbulwinter. And the Night King's goal is to kill the three-eyed raven. I'm going to underline the three-eyed raven in there. The three-eyed raven is basically the repository of mankind's memory, as collective memory of past, present, and future. And the Night King wants to kill him in order to cause an absolute death, like the form of death that doesn't lead to rebirth, because if you kill the memory of the world, then no one is left to remember and rebuild and create a rebirth. So again, we're dealing with themes that point to a certain someone. That's inevitable because it's inevitable. Because we have to talk about that.
We will. Will. Oh, we will.
But just bear in mind that what was the point in DAWNTRAIL? It was about erasing the concept of death. If
Yeah.
you try to erase the concept of death, then a certain someone is actually in real danger. I'm actually wondering how the fan base was not throughout DAWNTRAIL being like barging into the ethereal seat to fetch Hades out of the ethereal seat.
I would go if I was allowed. Let me in, Yoshi P.
I will tell you just one tidbit of information about those connections. In DAWNTRAIL, the Solution 9, Vanguard, and all that, it's designed after the area in Final Fantasy XI that's called Rakasnar.
Yes.
In fact, the gear set that when you get the coffers of gear in game, like level gear and all that, when you go from Vanguard into Heritage Found, the coffer name is named Rakasnar gear, blah blah blah. Rakasnar in Final Fantasy XI is a place where death has no meaning, and it is the place in which Final Fantasy XI Hades was imprisoned.
Mm-hmm.
And
okay. Yeah.
And also, as an extra tidbit of information, Final Fantasy XI Hades is very much quite identical to Horsefant, except for the pink hair.
Oh.
And I just want to leave that there, because they actually died the same way and for the same reason.
Huh. I need to play 11. I really need to play 11.
I haven't played, but I know tidbits.
Yeah. So we're gonna move on to the next topic, which is just general Final Fantasy stuff. This was kind of like an odd grab bag of stuff that didn't fit anywhere else on this script. So when the trailer opens, we see a planet on fire being tainted by the void. I originally thought we were getting a void expansion, and you can hear that in my reaction video. And then it's overcome by light, and it explodes into shard planets. Did we just see
the sundering?
The sundering. Did we just see the sundering?
Yeah.
Yes. It's that's basically it's Atheris with the final days coming.
Yeah.
Zodiac being summoned and Hydaelyn being summoned and sundering the planet.
That's insane. Mm-hmm. They just dropped that like it was nothing. They were just like, yep, here's this.
I mean, in fact, the setting of that shot is like in the Amaro dungeon. So considering who is narrating the first part of the trailer in the lines, then
yeah,
it matches.
That's
and
insane.
Then of course we see Asm crystals and the key. Like Meowth and I, we knew from the beginning that the Grail is not the key, it's the aura set within.
Mm-hmm.
And on Tuesday we will learn basically that.
Yeah.
Mm. Yes,
and there have been hints that the cup is just a contraction.
Yeah, I'm a couple patches away from being caught up on content, but I know pretty much what happens. It's wild to me that we're just finding these little artifacts that unlock lore that we should have had 2 expansions ago. It's like, there's the Asm key. There you go, buddy.
I mean, it's important to bear in mind first that Hades was actually quite hand-tied in Shadowbringers for reasons.
Yes.
This has to tie with the truth of Asm. Let's just leave it at I have enough evidence to say that the whole defection story is actually a lie made to protect Asm. But that's a story for another day. What is important to bear in mind is that though we tend to associate Asm's crystal with Asm because it has the sigil, in fact that thing is actually made from Hades' ether. It's literally us carrying with us a literal piece of him with us.
That.
You have played 7.2, right? And the whole theme about No, 7.2 you haven't played. Okay.
Not yet. I'm getting there.
Not yet. Okay. Do get
Also
there,
fun-
and you will see all the references
Okay.
and the meta-narrative to Asm's Crystal and Hades.
Yeah.
So it's subtle because it's subtle. If
Yeah.
you read non-verbal narrative, it's not subtle, but it's you have to read the subtext and
Yeah.
extrapolate what you're reading in DAWNTRAIL all to the context of Asm and Hades, and then everything makes sense as to
Oh
what
my God.
they're preparing the ground for. So you have to. That's the problem with DAWNTRAIL. So many people misunderstood DAWNTRAIL's purpose.
Yeah.
Thinking, of course, it was a transition. It was a transition expansion. That's for sure. But the purpose of DAWNTRAIL is that everything's meta-narrative for Asm and Hades. Everything is a microcosm of the real story. Like, for example, Erenville is a meta-narrative standing of young Hades. Kakiwa, his mother, is a meta-narrative standing for Asm. Lamat, for example, is more or less like either a young Asm or a young warrior of light. And for example, Koana is also like, but Lamat is like the result part of the warrior of light, and Koana is the reason part of the warrior of light. Of course, there's also the theme of the blessed siblings. It's all about Gemini. So the whole of DAWNTRAIL is built upon that, but you have to read beyond what it's actually in telling you, like up front, and read the subtext of it, and then you understand the purpose of DAWNTRAIL.
It's very unfortunate that I was very, very bored by DAWNTRAIL. It's very unfortunate. It took me... God, I downloaded it the day it came out. I still am not finished. I took a really long break. I was getting into VTubing.
Right.
And now I'm getting back into it, so...
if you're not used to read that sort of narrative style, then I get why you would think this comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But I will be honest, I was playing through DAWNTRAIL and I was like, Endwalker tried to make me think that Hades' story is over.
Mm-hmm.
I stepped into DAWNTRAIL. I kept seeing him everywhere.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And I was like, so then Endwalker was lying to me, which is actually something Ellie made me realize proper later on when I was annoyed. I have been annoyed at Endwalker for a long time, but it was Ellie who gave me the key for really understanding the purpose of Endwalker.
Yeah. So we got derailed a little bit. It's okay.
It was bound to happen.
That happens. A new crystal tower was showcased in the trailer, which kind of confirms that every shard may have its own crystal tower. We didn't see one on the 13th, but it's possible we just didn't encounter it. We just didn't see it. We just weren't there. We thought that the crystal tower on the first was a replication of the one on the source, but what if it isn't? What if
it's not? It's the crystal tower. Yeah, the crystal tower in the first is the crystal tower from the source, from the future. 8th Emerald Calamity timeline with Grahatia. That one got teleported by the collective work of Ironworks and Charlian into the past. Into a time where they determined we need to get to there in order to prevent the 8th Emerald Calamity from happening.
So it's less than...
So there's only one... It's one crystal tower, and that's on the source.
Yeah.
The one on the first is a different version, and the quote-unquote crystal tower on the 4th, or wherever we are going, is... I wouldn't call it really crystal tower. It's a crystal something, but crystal tower is specifically crystal tower, but that's Alec, and that's source only.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
I will just throw a quick thought because we've been discussing the whole themes about death and how Hades is everywhere in the subtext, and I suspect that from now on is going to be less subtext and more text.
Yeah,
but
we can hope.
We know that but we know that he traveled the source and the shards in his quest, which is not just about the rejoinings. It's actually more about finding Asem than the rejoinings themselves. But he traveled the source and the shards, and in his role as quote unquote Asem, because he was actually acting as such. That's a whole another thing that we can elaborate at some other point. But he traveled and he met and he mingled with the sun, that he taught them things, and he helped those in need, like the Guardians, for example. They were the most vulnerable race in pretty much in all of the source, and of course from our perspective they're the villains, but from their perspective they were the most bullied race in lore wise. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is just an if these structures like Crystal Towers, because we know that he had a hand in Alag, and the Crystal Tower seems specifically designed to evoke Asem, and later Amon made a mess of the purpose of the Crystal Tower. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe we find traces of these sort of legacies that Hades left behind. Maybe we find that on the fourth, in the process of finding and learning more about Asem as the world learning more about themselves. Inevitably, when you learn about Asem, you want to learn about Hades. It's like it's a package deal.
Yeah. So the Lord.
I mean,
go ahead.
If what Mjolnir and I talked yesterday is correct, then yes, we will.
Yeah.
Inevitably, because even if Charlene doesn't want to, but basically our thought yesterday was that those, when we go through the portal and Estinian does the fly kick thing and we get attacked by those things, by those flying things, those contraptions could be arcane Charlene stuff. So it's not really Halmarud and Kalix being the bad guys, but maybe being manipulated by Charlene.
Yeah.
Since they 8th Umbral Calamity Charlene, since they know how to shard like space and time travel. They know how to do it. Since they sent back the Crystal Tower.
And the Charlians themselves have time travel have had time travel for a long time. They tell you that in the Studium quest line.
In the Fisher quest. They don't explicitly say it, but they say it in the most unexplicit way. No, in the most explicit, unexplicit way as possible. It's the most confirmed thing without saying it.
Yeah.
That they know how to try time travel. So those contraptions and maybe some buildings there, if they seem Charlene coded, it's because we think they are Charlene coded.
Gotcha. So the lore teller in the trailer, she said, quote, when they arrived, end quote. Is she talking about us? I don't think so. I wonder if the Asians got to the shard before us, or if another shard of Asem got to the shard before us.
I mean, just related to what we said, maybe she's referring to Charlene influence.
Exactly, it could be. We don't know who they are. It's gonna be one of the.
Yeah, sorry, you continue.
That's gonna be one of the things that I'm really interested in, like, learning. Hopefully before it comes out, please don't make me wait.
We have 2 trailers to watch for that, so
we got
maybe
2 more trailers.
We will learn more. Also, they did a good job because the storyteller was cloaked in cloth or like something, and the child was basically like huddled under her blanket thing.
Yeah.
So
also,
that
Trickster.
Gives the illusion.
Trickster, I know that I have to wait like everyone else. I know. My mod's teasing me.
I have chat open. It gives the illusion, or it suggests and that's what they do a lot. They give context and they No, they give information and they immediately put it into context, so you don't get the time and you don't have the opportunity to actually think what else it could be.
Yeah.
So being cloaked in that cloth and being in bed, it makes you think that the Ice Age is ongoing.
Yeah. It makes me think of like illness. You know? Like they might be sick or something.
I mean,
it's basically
the setting is like the setting is pretty much a mirror of Shadowbringers, which is why I was hesitant to speculate on an expansion on more shard travel, because I felt like it would be a repeat of Shadowbringers. I read an interesting comment someone left me when I wrote the summary of my thoughts, in that they believed that because of the difference between the concept arts, that it won't be just going to the shard, but because we have the key, we may be traveling between the different time periods of the shard.
Right.
Which I found really interesting. And it would, because DAWNTRAIL already introduced the theme of time travel. Time we call
time
it
shenanigans.
Yeah.
I mean, Shadowbringers did, but yeah.
Yeah, it did. But considering that the key can open portals between realities, timelines, it's pretty much kind of like a given. So I wouldn't be. I would actually find interesting. We can travel between areas that one is in a different time period, or maybe there's pockets of different timelines. Because one thing is that people are saying that the expansion is themed after Final Fantasy 13. I say there's influence, but not entirely yet. What I see still is a continuation from DAWNTRAIL, which was 13.2. And in 13.2, there's something called the paradox effect, which is what happens when two timelines collide, and it creates a distortion in which a location from two different timelines overlap. So if that's the case, we could find the paradox effect happening full on the 4th, and then I would be saying, yeah, this is Final Fantasy 13 too, and the next stop is Final Fantasy 13.
God, this I always say that Warframe is just Final Fantasy 14 in a different coat. It is. It really is. Yeah. Like, the whole time is an amorphous blob, and we're just trying to figure out how to handle it. They just need to do a collab together, and I'll be happy. Please. Please, I'm begging.
Ancients basically have the not necessarily unspoken rule, but they have the rule to not fuck with time. Like, don't do time shenanigans, because once that's done, basically, I think we have a parallel timeline. Like, my thought about the 9th that we dealt with in DAWNTRAIL, that might be a spoiler for you, actually. I don't know.
Oh, I don't care. Go ahead.
Okay. We learned that Alexandria is from the 9th. But because
I knew that.
February,
okay, yeah.
Okay, good. I think it's from the 9th of another timeline. Because the lightning calamity happened on the, what was it? The 12th.
The 12th.
Our timeline. But when you think about how timelines get created, it's basically every choice you make, it creates another timeline. So it's basically those what-if scenarios.
Yes.
So Alexandria, the 9th, with a lightning calamity, could basically be that somewhere in the past, a different decision has been made that led to the 9th being struck by the lightning calamity, and not the 12th.
Or there was a direct intervention from another time traveler.
Or maybe that as well. Like, there is a lot going on when you think about time shenanigans. Anything can be possible. So people saying, the Encyclopedia Eorzea is false. Like, that's a retcon because we know it's happened on the 12th, but now the game confirmed, quote unquote, that it's from the 9th. It's not confirmed nor denied. Like, there is no evidence to suggest that that Alexandria is not from another timeline.
Right. Also, Momo,
So
I'm going to point out something, Momo. Final Fantasy XIV is getting a collab with Evangelion. They can get a collab with whoever they want.
yes. They have Evangelion now.
Yeah, they have Evangelion now. That's why we couldn't stream on YouTube yesterday, because it's copyright music. That's why. Yeah, I figured it out. Anyways, we have to move on to the next one, or we're not going to get to the Emmett Selk stuff, and all of us will be upset. All of us.
Okay.
So, the Paladin was the poster child for Endwalker, symbolizing us bringing faith in ourselves and our friends to the end. Shadowbringers was Dark Knight, symbolizing bringing balance to the light of the first. There's heavy implications. This is going to be an expansion about bringing, I don't know, like, I don't know the right term to use, like, awareness about death to the people who are suffering and help them depart, that kind of thing. And this is going to be the third expansion in a row centered around processing grief and heavy topics. I do count the end of DAWNTRAIL towards that. Clearly we have a pattern. Why are we being prepared for something? This feels ominous. I'm scared, Yoshi P. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. You first.
If we're being put on the path of Emmett Selk, like of Hades, then yeah, what better poster child to be than a Reaper?
Yeah. No, that's true.
Death, basically.
That's true.
So that could be the simplest explanation to that question, actually.
You didn't see that. There was nothing there. Okay, there we go.
There's a couple interpretations here, because it's true that of course now we know that the Sundering was not exactly the best idea to do, because it actually the world is actually dying in the long term, which is something that the Asians in many ways have warned us repeatedly. So the rejoinings were meant to heal and save the world, even though it's true that they have a mighty cost. But it was already established in 3.4 when Elizabeth, if you recall, Elizabeth points Urianger to read a book that the Charlemagne deem apocryphal, which is the Geron Oracles. And it is there that Urianger learns that it is better to have a rejoining, because all the soul shards go to the source and rejoin and live through their originals, as we have with Albert, for example. Albert, we know that he's still conscious in a way inside the world's soul. So the Geron Oracles say, and most people actually forget this because it's been a long while since Heaven's Word, the Geron Oracle says that it's best to have a rejoining than have a shard either succumb to a void of an elemental void, such as the 13th or the first almost phase, or into emptiness. Because if you reach that point of emptiness, the soul shards won't ever be able to rejoin, and the shard will fall into
disrepair,
into nothingness, basically. And in Endwalker, we learned that if the source goes, so do the shards. If the source dies, because it's pretty much bleeding out, it doesn't matter that you keep save the lives of the shards, because in the end, you keep life, you preserve, and I underline preserve because of preservation. You preserve life in the short term, but then you're condemning mankind to go extinct and never be able to be reborn in the long term.
We're gonna have to. There is only one thing thing we can do. We have to have a rejoining. That is the only path. We are literally bleeding out, basically.
Yeah. But I don't think it's going to go well. In part because the world
I don't think so either.
doesn't really know what they're doing. But
yeah.
But again, it's quite possible that it's too late as well.
Yeah.
Because if we're heading towards Ragnarok and the apocalypse, then Ragnarok is going to happen. What's important then is what happens after the apocalypse. Will be absolute emptiness, as likely the evil force is trying to cause, or is there going to be rebirth from the ashes? If you realize the storyline is mirroring the storyline of the Asians mirrors the journey of the devs with Final Fantasy XIV. They had to nuke a defective world to make something better rise from the ashes.
Yes.
So
yeah, it's gonna be scary. It's gonna be probably it's gonna be one of the biggest challenges I think that our Warrior of Light has had to deal with. Like literally triaging all these shards until we can finally,
would you allow me to show you? Would you allow me to show you a specific dialogue in 3 shots of dialogue in Shadowbringers in the chat, so you can read through them and you you see what a certain someone was actually foretelling in advance. Give me a little moment. I have them here. Surely. It's actually two screenshots. But there you go. Now that you mentioned difficult choices and all that.
Oh. Sirens. That's funny. Okay. Oh. Yeah. I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Yeah, because if you realize so far, this point in the story has not yet happened.
Yeah, no, you're right.
It will happen.
You're right. I just hope he's there for us when we finally have to do it, because this is what he wanted us to do.
He will.
Okay, so we're gonna move on. This is the last section. Is the Emmett Sulk in the room with us? Ouija board. So there's 3 lines. There's 3 lines in the trailer. At the beginning, they're text lines. There is distortion in the audio that happens every fan fest because they're trying to erase, I guess, the speech of the person reading them. They do that every single time. So I believe it's Emmett Selk. A lot of people believe it's Emmett Selk. The first line is hold fast to what you must and meet your fate without fear. I believe this line is talking about the upcoming expansion, since it's likely to be based on the topic of death and potentially helping others pass peacefully. That's my interpretation of the theming. That one's pretty straightforward. Not really much to discuss about that one. The second one is interesting. This is calling back to Endwalker. This is calling back to everything he's ever told us. Go forth, discover, unite the stars unto one. We're going to have a sundering. Or not sundering,
That's not.
Whoa! Whoa!
Ring is more than enough.
Nope, it's a done for. We just gotta blow it up. I'm kidding. Gotta have a rejoining. There we go. That's the word. That was funny. I'm gonna have to go back and clip that later. Local cat girl says I'm done with this shit. Blow it all up. This mirror is what he told us at the end of Endwalker. You cannot tell me that's not him. Nobody else would have said that. Nobody else would have said that. Unless it's someone that we haven't met yet, which is possible. But, like, come on.
When you tie that with Asim's crystal, which is where he left his message and is the active thread between the world and him, it's inevitable. Like that I mean, he sent us on the trail for a reason, and
yeah.
he never does things without
reason.
without meaning.
Yes. He wanted us to find a way to bring about a rejoining with a less loss of human life, as he mentioned in Shadowbringers. I literally saw that screenshot on Twitter this morning of him saying that, and I had completely forgotten about it, by the way. I wish I had saved that screenshot, because I went rambling to you at like 40 minutes before the stream, like, do you remember this exact quote?
Of course, yeah. So,
yeah.
So many people have forgotten many aspects of Shadowbringers.
Yeah.
Like, going over Shadowbringers would take us not just one stream, like several.
Yeah, no.
And recall the lessons of Shadowbringers, which is important because Endwalker made actually a lot of people forget the lessons of Shadowbringers, and that's part of the mental trap.
I'm thinking about doing a new game plus on stream, potentially, of just Shadowbringers.
You would be surprised with so many things. In fact, with added context, I personally have had for a long time the habit of, every time a new expansion drops, I replay the entire MSQ. To refresh my mind and see everything with different
even ARR,
different context, even ARR.
Oh my gosh, bless your heart.
I have too many characters for my sanity.
Yeah.
I mean, I need to replay. I need to replay everything anyways, because I need to also do that in German and see the language difference of localization and translation.
So, you know, one curiosity. A mutual friend who is German and plays in German, she once told me, when discussing lore, that she was like, how people were thinking that Hades was not going to come back, when in German he actually says outright in Ultima Thule that you know the line about bring the curtain, let the final curtain fall, only then will it rise again with new parts for all to play. Do you recall that line? Well, in German it's outright translated something as bring this act to an end so I can begin planning my next entrance on the stage in a different role, but with familiar ensemble.
Mm-hmm.
So this mutual friend was like, I didn't understand why the people were like, oh, we're never going to see Hades again, and she who was playing in German was like, but he said that he was going to come back.
You know what's crazy? My partner, we call my community calls him Husbat, because I'm a vampire. Husbat has told me 9 million times, just let him sleep. He wants to sleep. And I'm like, no.
I would say he needs a bit of rest, fair enough, because he earned that. But
he did.
The most important thing with Hades, there's a simple truth when it comes to Final Fantasy XIV, and it's that the core of the plot has always been Asim and Hades. That's it, because at the heart of Final Fantasy XIV is a retelling of the myth of Hades and Persephone.
Yes.
So here's the thing here is that when you understand that, you basically start reading their story in everything Final Fantasy XIV is about. Like every expansion, you see the echoes, nudge nudge, wink wink, of
Yeah.
their story, which is how I read personally Lord Dive. I take note of the themes and then extrapolate them to the macrocosm of the real plot of it, which is Asm and Hades. In fact, there's one stream I want to do with you. You're up for it, which is about unraveling a certain secret truth in one of the musical themes with you. I think that would be a really interesting stream for you. But the point I was trying to make here is everything is about, at the core, Asm and Hades. And the way things were left in Endwalker, Asm, the world, and Hades will never be able to reunite because the ancients can't be reborn in sundered bodies. This is heavily implied in the Bosnia field notes with the Diablo armament when it explains you the mechanics of that a soul, the vessel of a soul, that is the body, or the body in which it's contained, has to be of equal density, more or less, to the soul that is going to receive, which is why the Elegants built the Diablo armament in the way they did. And then I think it was the Korean Fan Fest, in a Q&A, that Yoshi P said that if the Asians had managed to carry out the rejoinings, they would have still have needed to make Primal Zodiac reset the world and themselves entirely, because the bodies of the sundered are not meant to hold unsundered souls, which means 2/3 of ancient population that were still intact inside Primal Zodiac went released in Endwalker into the ethereal sea with no hope of being reborn in this reality.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, there's so much. And by the way, you mentioned Bosja. Everyone go play Bosja. Go play Bosja right now. It's like the least played content, and it's so good.
And it's so important.
It's so good.
And it's so important because Ivalice, basically, and Ivalice is so important here.
When I played Bosja in, like, it was coming out during the peak of my fixation on Final Fantasy XIV. I was in Bosja all day, every day. Trickster, I probably saw you in there. Oh my god, I recognize the name of your character. That's probably why. Yeah. I was in there like all day, every day. Anyways, and then there's one more line.
Just to conclude the whole thing about the core plot of Final Fantasy XIV and the story between Asm and Hades, which the devs leave the dev the whole thing about they don't want to force anyone with pairings and all that. With Asm / the Warrior of Light and Hades, it's less about being ambiguous and more like leaving a small window for people who don't want to pair them. But it's a very small window. Because it's like they're actually like, I leave you this window if you want to scurry through it, but the intention is this. And they're not subtle in the non-verbal narrative. Just let me say that. However, the point here, which is said in the Anchor short story that is basically narrated by Hythlodeus, it's more specific in other languages, but this is why it's always important to read, to try to read everything in as many languages as you can, because every translation is official, and some of them carry nuances that others don't. But in this short story, basically, Hythlodaeus tells us that Hades' only wish for the future, it doesn't matter what the future is. He just wanted to live it by Asim's side. That's as per Hythlodaeus' testimony. So Hythlodaeus doing what Hythlodaeus does best, which is being captain of the ship. but with the ending of Endwalker, this wish is impossible, because Hades, as an ancient, can't be reborn or reincarnate in this standard reality. Endwalker, so that's why I'm amused, sort of, quote unquote, when people say, no, but Endwalker gave Hades the best ending possible. And I'm like, how it gave Hades the best ending possible when his only wish is denied forever. In that context.
So,
I believe that the conclusion of this is going to lead to a reality in which this only wish is made possible, and Hades gets to live the future by well, in this case, the wolves side, but it's still Asim's soul, so it doesn't matter. At least to him, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to me either. Okay, so there's one more line. Let none bar your path. This is the one that I'm a little confused about because it's pretty vague. And usually if things are left vague, they clarify it later. The only thing I can think of is this might be a warning that we're going to encounter people who want to stop us, and it's going to be an integral part of the story. Like, there will be people who are kind of like us when we were on the first. We wanted to stop the rejoining. What if there are other, people who want to stop the rejoining? Yeah.
I mean,
it's very scary. It's very unsure.
We're picking up the legacy of the Asians. Are we going to understand what they experience, basically?
And then Emmett Selk is in the live stream right now. Like, what the hell, man? I was the enemy. And now you're just doing what I wanted to do.
No. I don't think he's thinking that. He already knew that,
no, I was just making a joke.
that this was always Asim's purpose. But this is something that has to be elaborated. It's just going to leave it here that Hades never saw us as his enemy. And the circumstances of Shadowbringers have many secrets and truths that have to that are in the expansion itself, but at the time no one was thinking of those things, because sometimes your brain doesn't register certain things without proper context. But the truth of the events of Shadowbringers can already be glimpsed in game, and if you're paying attention, and if you're not, eventually it will be revealed. But so far we've been able to piece it together with things in game, and that would require, again, many things require lengthy explanations and elaboration. But let us just say that Hades in Shadowbringers had to play a role, and he was dealing with forces that were intervening to create conflict with the wall, to prevent the reunion of Asim and Hades. Let's just leave that there.
Okay. Yeah.
Ellie, do you want to add something to that?
Me? No, I think you did it really well.
No. Okay. Me. That is in it of itself a topic for like that can fill a whole stream.
Yeah.
Like there is a lot to talk about and a lot to think about. Like there is legitimately a lot.
Yeah. And there will be more.
Yes.
We already discussed that we're probably going to end up making this a not common stream because I've got so many recurring streams right now, but like maybe bi-weekly, that kind of thing.
That's fine by me.
Yeah. But we're like down to the last 5-ish minutes. The devs are not letting him go. They're not letting him be forgotten. He was in the background of the last live letter. He was in the background of the new Shadowbringers artwork at FanFest. He had a life-size statue in Tokyo. I don't think he's done. And that's not copium. So you stop that. I think there's more to be had here. There's so much more about Azem and the Ancients that we just don't know yet.
Let's talk this from a lore standpoint and practical franchise standpoint. Lore standpoint, Hades is the core of Final Fantasy XIV. He's the pillar. It's true that Azem is the protagonist because we are Azem. We are the Warrior of Light. So we are the one who set things in motion. But we have to bring the distinction between main character and protagonist. It's like if people in your audience have played, say, Final Fantasy X, the protagonist is Tidus, but the main character is Yuna.
Yeah.
As an example, this is the same dynamic that Azem and Hades, or the Wall and Hades, have. The Wall is the one who drives the plot, and Hades is the pillar that sustains it, thematically speaking. Franchise-wise speaking, Hades is a gold mine.
Yes. Yeah. No.
I don't know if you guys recall people around the time of Shadowbringers when they released the snap emote and we broke the mouse station.
Yeah. Oh, did you guys really? I was going through MSQ at the time.
We did broke.
They did.
We did break the mock station the moment that emote went on that. They know how much Hades is beloved. We're talking a character that on debut on an MMO when still Final Fantasy XIV wasn't as well regarded as it is after Shadowbringers. In his debut, in the polls about most popular character, he scored sixth. In a long time franchise with lots of beloved characters, he kicked down Sephiroth down the stairs of favorite antagonists. So we're talking a character that I will say they do keep using and reminding us of him, but at the same time they are holding back a lot on him. And I think they're trying to achieve this sort of tension between, we know how profitable Hades is franchise-wise, but at the same time, because he's such like they are planning the whole thing about him, they want his return like is likely to be a nuke, a bomb for the fan base. They're also holding him back, but I will say that they're actually not very subtle about that, because sometimes you spot their merchandising movements, and it's like, I remember in DAWNTRAIL, because they released before around in Endwalker time that the official keychain with Azem's crystal, right? And it makes sense because Azem's crystal is a very iconic thing that we've been using a lot after Shadowbringers, right? And then after DAWNTRAIL, they added to the official merchandise the keychain with Hades' crystal. And that thing we've only seen once. I mean, once in one patch, and that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I was like, you
Yeah.
guys are not very subtle. Like, are
actually
you actually
yeah.
because Asim's crystal is one thing, Hades' crystal is quite another.
Yeah. I actually have his crystal on a necklace from Etsy. I've had him for years and years. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me. We got like 2 minutes left. Do you want to say anything else, or you good?
We'll be back.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be back? Okay, good.
Definitely.
I try to make it a Terminator reference.
Yeah, we will be back because 1 hour and a half is very short time to.
Yeah, it's a short period of time.
We want to explain. We have to explain. Yeah.
If you're watching, don't go anywhere. In half an hour, we're gonna have a Warframe, not lore talk, but like we're gonna talk about dev stream yesterday. Yep. Because yesterday was a very busy day for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, my fandoms. I'm being torn apart by my fandoms.
I mean, why turn apart? You can just there's space in your heart for two.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for joining.
Thank you.
I'm gonna go ahead and stop stream. If nobody has told you yet today, I'm happy you're here. You are loved. You are valid, and I love.